Everybody else is going to clap I will. Because this is an awesome presentation. I just want you guys to know. So, first, everybody who's a surf, raise your hand. Okay, and give me your name and 10 words or less on your research project.
My name is Spencer, and I basically study something called fan subbing, which is about distributed virtual groups all over the world.
Distributed virtual groups. Okay. So you know about, do you work with Krista?
No, Gloria Mark.
Okay. Well, Krista's a partner of mine in another company, so I actually do have a business in the virtual world space with OpenSim project.
Okay.
My name is Marvin. My research deals with the thermal shock resistance of oxygen sensors.
Wow. Okay, I'm a computer science guy, so that was way over my head, but it sounds cool.
Fuel cells.
Fuels. Oh, okay, now I know. Yes, plain English. Thank you.
I'm John Lee, and this summer I'm working on a malaria detection system.
Malaria?
Yeah.
Ah, that's really important stuff. Okay.
Jason Wood, I'm working on an online web game designed to help kids learn about monitoring mental awareness.
That sounds like a Tomlinson thing. Okay. I can detect those a mile off. Yes. Louder, please. Wait, hang on a second. One of the things you guys have to learn to do if you're going to be researchers is learn public speaking. Speak to the public, please, Jonathan. Sensor networks. Paichu? No? Ooh, screwed that one. Okay. Yes, next.
David, and I'm working on smart electrical appliances and how they relate to the energy grid in California.
Okay.
They're together. David Kirkby.
All
A
right.
new professor you haven't met.
I'm Howard Wong. I'm working on self-configuring radios for mobile networks.
Okay, soft radios.
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
Humayun and Hamid Chaparkhani.
Yeah, okay, all right. And?
Susan, and I'm working on nurse work in the emergency department.
Okay. So with the med school? No?
Yunan Chen, informatics professor.
Okay. You're just here for the food? Okay, that's good. Yes?
I'm Ana Maria Sanchez, and I'm working on learning taking place in online virtual worlds, specifically Club Penguin.
Club Penguin, okay. That was a big acquisition a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yes,
See?
by Disney.
By Disney, yes. See, you're successful in your ventures, Disney will buy your company from you, and you'll be wealthy and retire. So who am I? I am an alumni of UCI. I have a master's in computer science from a couple of decades ago. I've been working in the Orange County high-tech and consumer electronics industry since then. I've worked for really big companies like Compaq, which doesn't exist anymore, Canon, which does, Toshiba, which does. In 2000, I decided I was bored with big companies. All I wanted to do was work in small companies where I can actually get things accomplished. And that's all I've done for the last 10 years is work in small companies, sometimes as an employee, sometimes as a consultant, sometimes as a founder. A couple of years ago, I came back to my alma mater and I said, you know, I live 5 miles away, but I have no engagement with the university. What can I do to help? They said, you know, we have lots and lots of inventions coming out of the university. We're not being as successful as we'd like at getting those inventions out to the market. Since you've got so much experience with that, would you help us commercialize some of our technologies? They introduced me to some of the research going on. I handpicked a couple, formed companies, licensed the technologies from the university, and started businesses. My understanding is you guys actually went to the Hyperwall lab during one of the sessions. So Hyperwall is one of my companies. It started as a research project 5 years ago. It is now a global company. We have hundreds of installations around the world. And as we go through the talk today, I'll make occasional references to how we handled various things in the case of Hyperwall. So let's be very interactive about this. Stop me anytime to ask questions, and I might answer them. Okay. Anybody ever taken a business school class? 1, 2. I know you have. Raise your hand. You have an MBA, right? Come on, don't be shy. Okay. Did you ever learn about writing business plans in your classes?
No.
No. What was your class?
It was a management class.
Management class. Okay. And who else?
Same management class.
Same management class. Okay. Well, in business school, when you go to get your MBA, they teach you about writing business plans. And entrepreneurs don't necessarily like big academic business plans, but a business plan is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it makes you actually think things through. There's an old saying that when you're launching a business, you want to be market driven, not engineering driven. Don't make what's cool, make what people out there will buy. So you have to change the way you think a little bit, and the business plan is a good place to put all of your thoughts down. So these are some of the things that go into a business plan, and this is why you should bother. Number one, and I've seen this happen time and time again, you have an engineering department and a marketing department and a sales department, and the sales department thinks you're making something, so they go and sell that. The marketing department thinks you're doing something else, and so they go and advertise that, and meanwhile the engineers are off in the corner building something entirely different. And so engineers don't build what the marketing guys are advertising or what the sales guys are selling, and the company falls apart. You write a business plan and everybody looks at it and signs off on it. You now have a way to ensure the company is acting together in a unified fashion. And if somebody disagrees, it gives them an opportunity to say, no, that's not what I think I can sell. Or the engineers can say, well, that might be a cool thing, but we can't actually build that. The technology doesn't exist. So it's a very good way to make sure everybody is working together. I also find a business plan is a really good repository for information. As you're going to a trade show or reading a magazine, you see an article about some company that's doing something that might be complementary, might be competitive. Where do you put it? Just add it into the business plan someplace, and add a paragraph about a competitive thing or a complementary thing. You may not act on it right now, but at least you have it recorded so you can go back to it later. This is an hour-and-a-half presentation that I usually do on how to commercialize your invention. This is the outline for it. We talk about how do you develop a product from concept to actually having a fully released product. How do you build a management team? How do you staff your company? How do you fund the company? Who's paying for all of this? Where are you going to operate? Do you have offices, an executive suite, your mom's garage, a 10,000-acre campus? And when are you getting the money? So normally I go through each of these things and I spend 15, 20 minutes talking about how to build a product, how to create a management team. We're not going to do that today, but I just want to give you a context of all the things that have to be done to go from early concept to revenue producing company and IPO and retirement to your own private island somewhere in the South Pacific. So normally I start with a slide like this that talks about product development, and I would spend 15 minutes talking about all this. I don't have time for that today, so I'm just going to show you these are all the things that need to be considered when you're thinking about how to develop a product out of your technology. What we are going to do though is just talk about some of the details on this. And so I've extracted from this the key things for you to think about at this very early stage of where you are right now. First thing to think about is intellectual property. How many people know what intellectual property means in this context? Yes, okay. Go ahead.
It's just patenting like an idea for a certain product or something.
Patenting an idea for a product, okay. Don't actually get to patent ideas necessarily, but close. Somebody else?
Patent invention.
Patenting inventions, okay. So patents are one form of intellectual property. There's actually three forms of intellectual property: patents, copyrights, and trademarks. When it comes to starting a business, don't worry about patents, about trademarks and copyrights. They're not nearly as valuable. Patent is a mechanism for doing something, and those are the things you generally want to get to protect your invention. And by the way, the purpose of a patent is not to claim I invented something. The purpose of a patent is to prevent your competition from doing what you did. It's to stake out territory that's exclusively yours. The patent process is expensive, and there's growing debate about how valuable it is to spend all that money when it's becoming easier and easier in some cases for companies to get around patents. But I still do it. Patenting is the single biggest cost we incur at Hyperwalk today. We have spent, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on patents already for this, in the company that's just 2 years old. Yes?
So I guess this depends on like what the product is, but how difficult is it to get around a patent? Like for Hyperwall, for example, like how similar would it have to be before a company as a competitor would be in violation of a patent?
It depends on the patents themselves. So I can't provide a broad answer to that. It's very specific depending on the patents. I can tell you though, let's start here. So the first thing is you need to file ROIs with OTA. 2 bonus points for who can tell me what ROI stands for. Get out of here. A SURF, come on. Yes.
Method of invention.
And how did you know that?
In front of me.
You read the paper in front of you. Excellent, thank you. And who knows what OTA stands for? Anybody? No, okay. The Office of Technology Alliances. Anything that's invented on campus is owned by the university. Not anything, but most things. The stuff that you guys do in this program is owned by the university. Remember, you had to sign forms that said you're an employee for getting to this program, and you also had to sign another form that said you're assigning anything you invent to the university. The university owns it. But they don't own anything if you don't tell them what you invented. So fill out this form. If you don't fill out this form, your invention will not be protected. About 5 years ago, I was approached by somebody from a university, I won't say who they were or what university, who had invented something that would save lives. It was a medical device. But that person did not fill out these forms at their university, patents were not filed, and therefore their invention was not protectable, and so it was never made into a product. And today, quite literally, people are dying because that form was never filled out. Because without that form, no investor would invest because there's no protection. There's nothing to stop competitive companies from copying the idea. So it's really important. Fill out these forms, get them in. There's an office called the Office of Technology Alliances. You can call them. I'll actually give you a website for them at the end of the presentation. They'll tell you whether you need to do the form or not, but get the form in, make sure there's some record. Now also, maintain a lab notebook. The United States is what we call a first to invent country. Patents, it is possible for multiple companies to file similar patents around the same time. In the US, the patent is awarded to the company that can document they thought of it first. How do you document you thought of it? You maintain a notebook, and every day you think of something, you write notes in your notebook and you date it. And you keep that as a record. And I know companies where they have stacks and stacks of these notebooks so that they can show they thought of it before another company did. Do that. Does it have to be a paper notebook? No, it could be a computer file, but document things. When it's a really big thing, maybe email it to a friend so there's even a more formal record that you thought about it. But always, always maintain some kind of record of the things you've thought of that may eventually lead into patents and then into products. Enabling public disclosure. This is an important phrase. The U.S. patent law says from the time you have publicly disclosed your patent, you've told it to people without the protection of an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement or something like that, you have 1 year to get your patent filed. If you do not file your patent within that time, you lose the right to patent it. So, a presentation like this might or might not be considered a public disclosure. Since everybody in here is part of the same program, it might not be, but don't take a chance. If you present something like this, or certainly if you present at a conference or get a paper published, your clock, your calendar has started. You've got a year to get the form in. Submit it to the ROI and make sure the process is moving. It's expensive to file a full patent, but you can file a provisional patent. It's a lot cheaper. It's sort of a placeholder. Get that in before the year expires. You then have another year to get the full patent application in. By that time, maybe you can have raised some money or something like that so you can actually pay for the full process. And you can go for trademarks and copyrights. A trademark means a brand. Arizona tea. Would you hold up your trademark so everybody can see? There's a trademark, okay? Nobody else can have a product like this. In the back, we have bottles of Coca-Cola, one of the most recognized trademarks in the world. Could I come out with something called Jeff Cola? Sure I could. And I can name it Jeff Cola. But if I made the label have the same kind of script as the Coca-Cola bottle, you can bet the Coca-Cola lawyers are going to come after me and say I'm violating their trademark. And the standard that the courts look at is it potentially confusing to a consumer? So if I made my logo look like Jeff Cola, even though it said Jeff Cola, not Coca-Cola, they'd probably come after me and they'd probably win. So that's what a trademark. A copyright is a written work. It could be some source code for a piece of computer. It could be a poem. It could be a novel, but it's a written work. It is a little bit valuable, but protecting the source code doesn't protect you from somebody who copies your algorithms but writes the code from scratch. So that's why a copyright is less valuable than a patent. A patent protects the idea, the concept, the mechanism, the algorithm that you're using to solve a problem, so it's generally much broader. So, protect your intellectual property. Yes?
When you say enabling public disclosure, that means you can still talk about your idea in the abstract or without enough information for somebody to duplicate it, right?
Thank you. Yes. So the key word there is enabling. Simply talking about it in public doesn't necessarily mean I've given it away. Only if I've given enough information to enable somebody who is a typical practitioner of the art to recreate the invention based on what I said. That would be enabling disclosure. Thank you.
So with the patent, it's not that like you're not allowed to make like a product that's slightly different or similar, but not like, and like you can make a product that's slightly different and still make money, but you can't make a product that's actually trying to trick like consumers into thinking like that's actually the other product.
Well, you can. I mean, you can make a product that does similar things to another product, and you might not be able to patent it. But what you can actually do is something sometimes called a blocking patent. So some company has invented something and patented it. You may have found a way to have done one piece of it better. You can get a patent on that enhancement. Now you might not be able to sell your enhancement because it infringes on their base patents. But they can't sell the enhancements because it would infringe your patent. Now all of a sudden you have leverage, and maybe you can force them to buy the patent from you. Or maybe you can sell your patent to one of their competitors and make a threat to them. So you can patent an enhancement to somebody else's patent. Can you patent something that's simply a knockoff of somebody else's product? Probably not. And if that thing is patented, you may get nailed for infringement. And if you have infringed with knowledge of infringement, you end up with the risk of doing triple damages. So if you infringe without knowledge, it may be less expensive. So be ignorant. Okay, so now the other thing we were talking about is this was about how to make your technology. So the first thing is protect your intellectual property. The second thing is make a product. Now, everybody here, is everybody an engineer? Anybody who's not an engineer or computer scientist? Okay. Are any serfs not engineers or computer scientists? You are from where?
I'm cognitive sciences. I'm a psychology major.
Okay. It's still sciences, okay. Nobody else? Okay. So when you're going to make this product, you're going to invent something, create something. Don't make what you want unless you believe you are representative of the target market. Make a product that some group of people or group of companies needs to solve their problem. Identify a pain point. That's what they teach over in the business school. What is a problem that the market has that you think you can solve? And then, how do you solve that problem? How do they deal with it today? If there's something that's causing a problem for consumers or for companies, somehow they're dealing with it. They might be dealing with it inefficiently. Maybe you can develop a computerized way to do it, but they're dealing with papers and files and doing things manually. So there is some solution. Learn about what the solution is. Figure out how you can make a better solution that's more cost effective, more efficient, adds greater functionality. And then look at the market. Who are the competitors out there? how much can the companies or the customers afford to pay for it? What about interoperability and infrastructure? Who is fuel cell? Okay, one of the challenges with delivering fuel cell markets to the fuel cell products to the market is there's no fuel cell refilling stations. You could come up with a tremendously efficient fuel cell vehicle. If people don't have a way to fill up their cars, they're not going to buy fuel cell vehicles. So it's an infrastructure problem as much as anything else. So you have to make a fuel cell system that can somehow work in today's filling station environment, or convince the world to invest in a whole new class of filling stations, which is a really big economic challenge. Who's the competition? So look at all of these things and think about how your technology can be used to create a product, and how that product can fit into the existing market and competitive environment so that it's actually sellable and practical for your target market. And what this comes down to is determining what the business school people call a sustainable competitive advantage, I think. Yes. So it's a sustainable competitive advantage looks at three things. Number one, what does the market want? I guess I should go back. Let's we talk about what are the pain points out there? What do people think they need? Number two, what is today's technology capable of delivering? Number three, what is it that you can uniquely deliver better than anybody else? And if you can find something that meets market requirements, is actually doable, and that you have some unique way of doing it better than anybody else, now you found an opportunity for a real business. And you want to go for that intersection in the middle. The more you can get into here, the more likely your company is for success. Okay, so that's all we're going to talk about on the product side and the technology side, because this is the very expedited version. So now we're going to talk about managing the company. And you have to think about what needs to be accomplished to go from initial concept, which is just founders, might be you and a couple of friends, building an advisory board, some outside people who are really smart and can help you get things going, building a management team, building a board of directors team. Again, I'm not going to go through all of this now. I just want to really intimidate you about how much work has to be done to go through the commercialization process. But more than intimidate you, I want you to be aware of the things you're going to have to go through. You don't need to know how to do all this stuff. You just need to know what needs to be done, and you will get advisors and mentors to help you with this process as you get to it. In addition, so I've got a tip here. Seek varied backgrounds. If you're an engineer, don't build a company with all engineers. If you're a psychologist, don't build a company with all psychologists. If you're a business school person, don't build a company with all business school people. You need to have technical people, you need to have sales people, you need to have marketing people, accounting people. So get a variety, get people different than you. If everybody always agrees you're not adding value, you're becoming redundant. Okay, so building the team, same thing, not just the managers. Who are the people that are going to actually get the work done? Now, in the beginning, your company may consist of just you. How many of you are doing single-person research projects for your surf projects?
Can't be.
They can't be? Really?
We're interdisciplinary and multi.
Okay, so they all have partners.
Some sort.
Some sort. Okay.
They're going to be working with graduate students or postdocs.
Okay.
and
All right.
research.
So you all have teams already. You don't have to worry about building your team. It's there. It was given to you. But if you wasn't, you'd have to figure out where you're going to get people from. Sometimes you're going to just be the founders. Sometimes it's going to be consultants, people that you pay by the hour to help with certain tasks. You may start eventually hiring people, and then you're going to have tens of thousands of employees all over the world once you get successful. How are you going to find all these people? Through networking. You're going to use Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Alumni Association. See, there's my pitch for the university. Use networks to find the resources you need, whether it's human resources or other kinds. So now I'm going to extract from those two slides about building the management and building the team the things that are really important to focus on right now in the very early stage of company development. Number one, Figure out who your founders are. You might be working with a grad student, you might be working with a faculty advisor. Just because you're doing the research with a faculty advisor doesn't mean they're going to be part of your team. They may be, they may not be. Find out, are they willing to commit time to the venture? Do they want to be part of it or not? Same thing with grad students, same thing with other people. Maybe, since you guys are all technical, you want to go get somebody who's an MBA candidate over in the business school to help with the business side, make them part of the team. So think about who are the founders and what are the roles and responsibilities of those founders. What is each person responsible for? Having 5 engineers all developing the same thing doesn't do any good if there's other stuff that's just not getting done. You got to think about everything that needs to be done and make sure somebody's assigned to it. Could be a member of the team, it could be outsourced. Maybe it's just a lawyer. You're paying tens of thousands of dollars a month to lawyers to take care of lots of stuff. It will happen, believe me. It may be your bookkeeper, your accountant, your PR agency, your marketing agency. Just make sure all those important things are being taken care of. Determine corporate ownership. 4 people form a company. Who owns the company? Those 4 people? Just those 4? Are there others? Do they have equal shares? Don't let that stuff be implicit. Make it explicit, because if you don't put it down in writing someplace, it can lead to disagreements later. What do you mean I only got 20%? I'm working just as hard as you. How come you're getting 30%? Well, why? No, don't lift up the camera and laugh at me. Come on, this is serious. Okay? In the beginning, everybody's working together, everybody's getting along. That's the time to address these things, because as soon as you start getting into disagreements, it becomes much more difficult. Now, we don't have to say all 4 people are getting 25%. We don't even have to say everybody's getting 25% today. Let's say 2 of you are going to partner on something, but it was mostly your idea. So maybe you're going to get 50% of the company, you're going to get 30% of the company, and there's 20% of options that we might let you earn over time. Okay, so there would be a 50% total allocation, but you've got to earn the extra 20 because she thought of the thing to begin with. So there's all kinds of ways of doing that. Whoops. I've got a phone call. I will decline that. Who recognizes that sound? Okay, you better all recognize it, I'll tell you. This is my office. This is global headquarters for Hyperwall, right here. Well, actually, this is headquarters. This is the IT system. So talk about it, and there are lots of other things that you need to talk about. For instance, there's going to be some partners. What happens if one of them, after a year, decides not to participate anymore? Do they still get to own the company? Maybe, maybe not. So maybe you want to have what's called a shareholders agreement that talks about under what conditions everybody gets to retain their shares, and what happens if people leave, what happens if somebody is killed in an auto accident. You and I might be really good, but I don't necessarily want your wife to inherit your shares to become my business partner if I don't think she can add value. So maybe we're going to, and this is actually very common, we're going to negotiate that if something happens to you, you pass away, I have the right to buy the shares back from your estate. And so these kinds of things, they're a little bit emotional, but take care of them ahead of time. Have a lawyer help you draw up something called a shareholders agreement so everybody understands what their rights are. Can I go sell my shares to somebody? Well, maybe. It sounds good. You know, if the company's doing well, I'd like to sell my shares, but what if there's 5 members and only 1 person wants to sell their shares and they want to sell it to a competitor of the company? So they get their money out. The competitors now have all the inside secrets and they can put the other 4 guys out of business. So usually we put restrictions on who can sell shares and when and under what conditions. All this goes into a shareholder agreement. Then look at the skill sets of everybody. Take an inventory. What is it you're capable of doing? What is it you're not capable of doing? And the things that you're not capable of doing, boy, somebody keeps going after me. Now they're calling me on my cell. I must be important. Okay. Identify what your needed skill sets are, and then go out and recruit them. With the tool sets that are out there today, who's on Facebook? Come on, raise your hands. Really, really? You're not on Facebook? You're not on Facebook? LinkedIn? Okay. Twitter? MySpace? What have I missed? Those are the big ones in this country. Anybody? Any other ones I missed? Boy, what an interactive group this is. Okay. Use those things. They're very powerful tools for filling in the skill sets that you need. Okay. So much for team building. Funding the venture. How do you pay for this beast? You're going to launch a company. How much does it cost to launch a company? Anybody know? $1 million. What? Few thousand. Slightly different scales there. Okay. And the answer is they're both correct.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to venture a guess?
Completely depends on like how much capital you need to start.
Depends on how much capital you need. And how much capital you need is determined by you. People write business plans, and the business plan always looks like this. We're going to spend this much money. Maybe it goes down, and it's going to go up. And this is the part that's always fun. This is what our revenue is going to be. It's going to start at 0, and then all of a sudden it's going to do this. Okay, this is called the hockey stick, the mythical hockey stick. Every business plan has it. You go along to here, and then all of a sudden, boom, revenue takes off. Well, what if it doesn't take off? What are you going to do? You don't get to control revenue. Revenue you're going to make is determined by the market's acceptance of your product. You do, however, get to control your expenses. You get to decide how many people you hire, how much you're going to offer them. Are you going to lease office space or work out of the garage or out of tech portal or something like that? This is under your control. This is not. So make sure this is adjustable based on how you're doing on hitting this really important inflection point. And by the way, the inflection point never happens as soon as you expect it to, and it never hits as steep a curve as you want it to. But if you do things right, you will get an inflection point. I can tell you in the case of Hyperwall, we hit the inflection point about 3-4 months ago, and we're now starting to get sales leads from all over the world. And it's because we did some of the business planning right. We also happen to have some really smart guys who are doing the product, but that's not me, and I don't care. I think that's true. I've done the business work, and the business work is what's really nailing this. And you know what? You laugh, but it's actually true. The sales and the marketing strategy is just as important to the success of a technology product as the technology itself. It's very well known in the investment community that a brilliant business person can make a good business out of a mediocre idea. But the most brilliant of ideas can be completely destroyed by inept management. So when you go out to go for funding, when you want to get that $183 million in venture capital funding, they're going to look more importantly at the team and the people than at the product. Okay, so let's talk about funding. And normally I would spend 15 minutes talking about this thing. What are the early sources, slightly later sources, and even beyond that, later sources. We're not going to do that now because we don't have enough time. Let's go back to that thing. Tip, develop a clean, concise pitch. I asked you guys to tell me what your research project is in 10 words or less. Most of you did about 10 words. When it comes to describing your product, your business, you need to be able to clearly and concisely explain what it is in 30 seconds to a minute. If you can't do that, number one, you're going to lose the interest of potential investors, and number two, more importantly, it means you probably don't even really understand yourself what the core of the business is. The more you repeat it, the more you describe to people what you do, you listen to what you're saying, you watch the responses, their eyes, you'll start to understand what's really the core of it, and eventually you're going to boil it down to 1 or 2 sentences, and you're going to say, damn, that's what we do. And when you can do that, then you can convey that to somebody else, and you can do a clear, concise, and compelling pitch. The only way you get there is by repeating it over and over and over again. I actually teach a class called Financing the Entrepreneurial Business. And the final for that class, I have my students stand up and do a 2-minute elevator pitch. That's what it's called, a 2-minute elevator pitch to the rest of the class. And without exception, I can tell who's practiced and who hasn't within the first sentence. The people that have practiced it and rehearsed it clearly, concisely convey what they've got. And the people that haven't stumble through it and they never finish in 2 minutes, and I end up cutting them off. So practice, practice, practice that to your friends, to your in-laws, to the mirror, to the dog, whatever. It doesn't even have to be an intelligent person. Just the key is for you to listen to yourself. Yeah. It could even be Cal IQ2 people. Okay. And if you don't make it in technology, you can go into comedy. All right. So now the key things for you to consider when it comes to fundraising at the very early stages of the companies. Lean operation. Today especially, so many of the businesses that are starting up are software-based, and you can start software-based companies really, really low cost because you probably, anybody here not own a computer? Anybody here not own 5 or more computers? Okay, okay, you don't have 5, but you got at least 1, maybe 2 or 3, huh? Okay, you've got a computer, you have a Yahoo account, and you have a Google account or whatever. You've got some really powerful resources at your disposal that cost you nothing. You have an office, you have a campus apartment. Maybe your parents are paying for it, but nonetheless, that campus apartment can be your world headquarters for a little while. Michael Dell started Dell Computer in his dorm room at UT Austin, I think. Anybody remember? I think it was Austin. He actually started that business. It was initially called PCs Limited in his dorm room, custom building computers for some of his friends. Now he's really wealthy.
They were out of South Dakota.
No, that's Gateway.
Oh, that's Gateway. Okay.
And that was Ted Waite.
Yeah. Confusing them.
And he moved to San Diego anyways.
I don't know why you'd want to leave South Dakota.
Imagine that. So lean operations, figure out how to do it. Hyperwall, I will tell you, we launched Hyperwall with an initial investment of $150. And we didn't even need to do that, but we decided to just put some money in to cover some of the initial legal expenses, filing fees and stuff. And today, it is a global company. And we have not taken a penny of outside investment. So you can do it with lean operations, especially software companies. If you're going into medical devices and things like that, those are more capital intensive, it'll be hard. But you can still be lean in it. When you open a new office, do you fill it with $1,000 Herman Miller chairs, or do you go buy chairs for $15 a piece from some company that's going out of business? Do that. And you know what? Investors appreciate that. Investor walks into a startup company with a really expensive furniture. They think, wow, maybe these guys aren't using their money so wisely. I don't want them spending my money on $1,000 chairs. I am part of a team that just opened up an off-campus incubator back at University Research Park. It's going to house about 24 startup companies. We furnished it with furniture that the university was getting rid of. We probably spent about 25% of what we would have had to put new furniture in. Then we spent $1,000 to have a crew come in and steam clean everything and clean it. It looks great. We did lean operation. So first of all, reduce how much money you need to spend. Then look at what you got to spend, where's it going to come from? It's going to come from you, the founders. Now, in the beginning, you may moonlight. You may actually have a day job and do the startup on the weekends and evenings. And you can do that for a little while, but at some point you've got to make a commitment, say, that's enough, this is really my baby, I'm going to commit to it full time and quit your job. If you don't do that, you're not going to get funding, and you're never going to commit yourself, so you'll probably never actually get to market with it. So at some point, you got to stop moonlighting. But it's okay to do that in the beginning for a little while. You may put some of your own money in. Take money out of your savings account, out of your checking account, the bonds you got when you got married or whatever, you know, put that stuff in. Your kids' checking account, your kids' college accounts rather. One of the most successful startups in recent times in Orange County is Kristen Mangers at Web Visible. And she tells a story of how she put her kids' college money at risk to get that company started. And she just closed her, that was years ago, she just closed the company's 3rd round of venture capital financing. They've now taken in I think, about $50 million in venture capital funding. Am I right? I think it's about 50 total, between 3 rounds. But she actually did put her kids' college funds at risk. And that's the kind of things entrepreneurs do. Put their money up, max out their credit cards, get more credit cards, max those out, take second mortgages. These are all things you may have to do to get your company going. And then at some point, you may want to go get a small business administration loan or try and get government grants. Those can help if you can get them. Lots of paperwork involved, lots of lead time, but maybe you can do that. Then you go to friends and family. And sometimes it's called friends, families, and fools. You can figure that out. And you ask them, can I get some money from you to help my business? You need to get some kind of record of what it is. Are they loaning you money, or are they buying a percentage of your company? Get some kind of documentation about what's happening with that kind of transaction. And then eventually you may go to angel investing. These are wealthy individuals who live in the community and are interested in helping entrepreneurs, but they're also interested in making money out of those investments. So they invest in the company, wait for the company to be successful 4 or 5 years, and gets acquired by HP or Google or Microsoft or Allergan or whatever, and they make 10 times what they put into it. So you may want to at some point go to angel investing. Operations of the company. You're going to start in the living room, you're going to start in your dorm room. Eventually you may want to move into an executive suite or into an incubator. We'll talk about incubators in a little bit. Then you may move to temporary offices, and then you're going to move to global headquarters. On the backside of UCI campus is the world headquarters for Broadcom. They have, I don't know, 6 or 7 buildings back there now where some tiny percentage of their total worldwide population works, but it is their global headquarters. During this phase, I will tell you, you're going to spend lots and lots of money on legal bills. Your lawyer will should become a trusted advisor. One of your biggest expenses. That's okay. Lawyers can be very valuable, not just for legal advice, but because they have very strong connectivity into the community. Cashing out. Well, after everything's said and done, you want to get some money. In the beginning, you just put money in. It always takes more money than you want. It takes longer than you expect. Then you start to generate a little bit of revenue, normalized revenue, and then you have a liquidity event. How do you get money out of the thing besides just a salary? And that's when you have an IPO, or you sell the company, you get acquired, and everybody's happy. Okay, so that's the corporate timeline. One other thing, organizations to know that can help you. And these are organizations right here in Orange County, specifically tailored for helping startups. IIC, this is the Irvine Incubation Center. It is part of something I just helped form. That's why it goes first. It's back in the University Research Parks, 11,000 square feet of offices. It's an incubator. We are there to provide mentoring and guidance to startup companies. We provide introductions to investors, introductions to potential partners, customers, suppliers, everything that inventors need to become entrepreneurs. That's an incubator on the backside of campus. There's an incubator in this building called Tech Portal. It's 1 floor down and around the corner. It is a little bit more lab space, where IIC is more office space. This is to help with the latter stages of developing the concept. So we're taking it not just from a concept, but to a functioning product. And there are people here in the university system that will help provide guidance and mentoring during those phases. And then there's a third incubator I wanted to talk about called the Digital Media Center in Santa Ana. It is associated with Rancho Santiago Community College. I couldn't put the word community in here, sorry, it was just too long, but it is. And it focuses specifically on helping companies in the digital media space. So 3 incubators across the top. Now, other things that you may want to know about. There's something called the TriTech Small Business Development Center. It is a bunch of seasoned, experienced executives who have been successful entrepreneurs. They're now retired, and they are paid by the federal government to provide free advice to entrepreneurs. It costs you nothing to get their advice. I've actually used their services to help with Hyperwall. It's very valuable, and they just moved into the Irvine Incubation Center, so it's all in the one building back there. Office of Technology Alliances. Who knows what that is? Come on, we already talked about this today. Who is paying attention? Yes?
To file the
To file the ROIs, that's right. Office of Technology Alliances manages all the intellectual property assets of the university. Copyrights, trademarks, and patents. So talk to them, fill out the ROI. Now, not everything that's invented by everybody associated with the university is automatically owned by them. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but the best thing is to go discuss it with them, and they'll tell you if they have a claim on it or not. And if they don't have a claim, it's yours, you don't have to worry about it. But have the discussion with them, because you don't want to assume it's yours and then have them make a claim later and get into a fight about it. So talk to them early and file the ROIs, and then if they own the technology, you can license it back. That's what we did with Hyperwall. Technically, the University of California owns most of the patents for Hyperwall, but we have signed a global exclusive perpetual license. It means we get to use it for as long as we want, and nobody else gets to use it. So it's for all practical purposes, it's as good as if it's our patents, except that we have to pay royalties to the university, which we're happy to do. Tech Coast Venture Network is an outside organization that is basically a networking organization. It brings together investors, it brings together people that help startup companies, and it brings together startup companies to help increase the rate at which those startup companies are successful. We've got TCVN and we've got Octane, two organizations that do those kinds of things. Octane still has an office here, right? Okay, Octane has an office.
Fourth floor.
Fourth floor. When is he
Director
coming?
Suite. Oh, when does he come?
Yeah.
Tuesdays.
Tuesday
Tuesday
afternoons?
afternoons.
There's Louis, right?
Luis.
Luis Vasquez comes in. He's an experienced entrepreneur, and he comes in and he has a program called Launchpad, where he also provides free guidance, free counseling to startup companies, and it's right here in this building, so very, very convenient. They also do networking. They do all kinds of big events. You should subscribe to these newsletters, subscribe to this newsletter.
And it's free, Octane.
And it's free.
For the,
yes, Octane, Octane Next.
Yeah.
There's a normally it costs money to become a member of Octane, but if you're young, you can join something called Octane Next.
I think it's till 29.
29, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's young, whatever.
Yeah.
And you get in. Is it it's free or really
free.
cheap?
It's
yeah,
free.
Okay.
So
join Octane, join TCV. Well, TCVN costs money to join, but even if you don't join, you can still at least subscribe to their newsletters, be aware of their events, and go to an occasional event. The events are usually $25 because they feed you, or you can get an annual membership. And I will also say that TCVN runs some really, really good seminars. They have evening sessions, which are networking sessions, but they have morning seminars, which are given by people that are tops in their field. Very, very educational to go to those seminars. The Danville Center, over in our business school, we have something called the Danville Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. It is a whole center focused on startup companies. They run all kinds of programs, including the very highly ranked UCI annual business plan competition. They have programs by which startup companies can get MBA students to be interns, or maybe even find somebody to help you launch your company, not just as an intern, but to be your partner. If you need somebody with business schools, they can do that for you. So get to know them. The Danville Center is run by a good friend of mine, Charlie Becker. In fact, Charlie and I are two of the three people that founded the Irvine Incubation Center, along with the Irvine Chamber of Commerce. And then there's Tech Coast Angels, local organization. It is the largest angel investor network in the country. Angel investors are people who are willing to invest their own money in startup companies. The largest network in the world is headquartered right here in the U.S. They also are occupying some space in the Irvine Incubation Center, but whether you contact them through us or directly doesn't matter. This can be ways to get typically hundreds of thousands of dollars, although they've just announced a new program called the Seed Track program, which will provide tens of thousands of dollars, really early stage, just see if a company can get over some of the hurdles towards productization. That's it, I'm done. 5 minutes to go. Questions?